And we're back. And a week later, as promised. Oh, man. Alright. Well, let's get right into it. This one has one heck of a cliffhanger. You'll be excited. Okay, so we start off. Session 11. We are still going through this dungeon. We're really tired. We come across some more undead. And, you know, they're paralyzing us left and right. Thankfully, Flicker gets away with it. And, you know, gets some good damage on them both before other people come back from their paralyzing spells. And Haru gets a nice magic bandolier from the chest that was in the room after we defeat them.
Pew, pew, pew.
There's more rooms as we go around the floor and we're exploring. There's... Like, for example, there's one room that has large rats that only I can see, and a large chest. And we pass by it for a little bit. There's also, in the middle of the room, there's like 4 torches to indicate there's like more Poe to defeat, because they have their little flame souls that you have to capture. We go into one room, we find one of these Poe, we defeat it. After more of the same of struggling with it and then fleeing because it scares us and coming, you know, back and forth. And then we finally enter up into a room that has this giant sword. And it's called the Death Sword, and it's being held down. As we go into the room, all these cords that are holding it down just kind of break off and it floats up into the air and starts attacking us. We're like, there's this giant sword just attacking us out of nowhere. Reiko and Flicker were able to do some pretty good damage. Reiko using his piercing and cold, and Flicker using her lightning spells.
Haru is useless.
Yeah, poor Haru and Kaide. They're just having a rough time right now.
We're situational fighters.
Situational fighters. Not good with distance. They do some damage. And a figure, after a certain amount of time, a figure starts to appear that's holding the sword, as you can see. And it starts to hit a little more accurately, like it can see us now, but it doesn't help because we still defeat it anyways. So, with our fox might. And that was basically all for that session. It was lots of fun.
I hate sand.
Yeah, I know. We're so done with these areas. Oh. So, after we defeat this giant sword, we're like, well, let's go back to the rat room. You know, it's got a giant chest in it. Why not? Rinku gets rid of it, throws like it's like a confetti bomb. He throws it in there and the rats just disappear. It was great. Great DM moment. And then we're able to get into the room with a little bit of stone-shaped magic. And we find a back door in that cell, and we look in, and there's, like, I believe Flicker is the one who looks in first, and there's just countless eyes just in the room.
Eyes for days?
Eyes for days. Oh my gosh. I'm so glad I have that cloak. Otherwise I would not be able to see these guys. We have to fight them. They keep coming at us, and for some stupid reason, these rats kicked our butts. We actually had to heal afterwards, after dealing with 8 of them. It was ridiculous. But we get into the room, and Kaida's back there chewing on a dead rat. We tell her to drop it, because we don't know where in the heck it's been. And we get into the room, and Flicker notices that the rooms are covered in these red runes that are glowing, and she starts speaking gibberish. And as she walks further in, she disappears. And all the rest of the party's like, wait for me. As we go in, there's, we find a bunch of skeletons. A bunch of tiny rat skeletons. And we're like, what in the heck is going on here? These are the rats we just saw. We're thankfully, they're dead. I mean, they're already undead, dead, whatever. But for some reason, they're skeletons now. And there's a chest in there. And I believe it was Kaede opens it up, and she's just like, eyes glow red, and she starts attacking us, but she's really bad at attacking, so it doesn't really do much. But thankfully, Reiko goes to this chest, opens it up, and there's this red ruby that's like pulsating in there. And he stabs it, and it breaks into a bunch of pieces. And Kaede's
Back to normal.
back to normal. Well, yeah. After that, we go. This is up the stairs, I believe.
I believe so.
We go up this last set of stairs, and there's this big room. It's got 8 doors. It's like The Price is Right, man. There's a big floating sign in the middle that basically explains, there's a big treasure in here, but the more incorrect doors that you choose, the smaller that treasure is going to get. And then behind certain doors, there's like challenges and monsters, and even with like god calls, Har and Flicker try god calls, but their gods aren't able to give them any help for some reason. So Reiko opens the first door, releases some more rats, which were really, really weak. We killed them in like 1 hit. And then Haru opens the next door, and it releases a Poe. Again, freaking Haru.
I'm sorry.
Always releasing the bigger ones.
I'm not a masochist, because I just want to see what my body can take.
Oh my gosh. But it's all fine. Flicker decides she's going to open the next door because they have terrible luck. And the door I open up is the treasure, and we got 300,000 Golderinos.
Hey.
So much money. Love it.
Love it.
Love it. And we go into the last room. I believe there's another staircase, or it's the last room. I can't remember exactly. But we go in and we find there's this giant dragon skeleton laying in the middle of the floor. And this guy comes out and he says, this spell will be your doom, or something like that. And he stabs a sword into the dragon's head. The dragon comes alive and starts attacking us. We're like, gosh dang it. And again, situational damage. This is a dragon where, certain attacks and stuff don't do much. So again, Flicker is using her lightning, and that seems to be the only thing that's actually working. And they get through, and they think they've defeated it, and the skeleton crumbles except for the head. And a stairway appears, and they try to go up the stairway, but there's a barrier that blocks them. And all of a sudden, they hear movement, and they turn around, and the dragon head is floating in the air, and it explodes into a ball of flame. Knocks everybody back for a little bit. And it's phase 2.
This anime level stuff right here.
And now that it's floating 20 feet in the air, Harureiko and Kaede are even more useless.
Boy. I tried shooting it.
None of them have very good ranged attacks at the moment. They're ranged a little bit fighters, but not that great. So you have freaking Flicker. I've got Call Lightning and Ball Lightning going at the same time. So we're doing 6...
A lot of damage.
9d6 of damage every turn of lightning, and apparently the lightning surpasses the DR, so that was fantastic, and I obliterated it. It was so much fun. And so yeah, we defeat the dragon. We're able to go up the stairs, and we find Rinku up top with his little buddy Midna. And they find this mirror that's broken into pieces, and they'd only found certain parts of it. And they told us, there are more dungeons like this that we have to defeat. In order to finish this quest completely, you can either stay with us or you can go back home. And the party, after debating a little bit, we're like, you know what? Our own world has some issues that we need to deal with. Namely, Reiko's father, who's a psychopath. So
he's a turd.
He is a turd. He's just, I don't even know what his deal is. But we go back, and once we're back, we go back through the portal, we end up in that one elf lady's house, and we are met with Reiko's brother, Roshi, who's tracking them down. Holy
He's
mother.
so hot!
I still don't see the appeal. The man's a douche. And that's where we left on that one. Session 13 is the shopping session. Shopping and story time. we probably spent about half this session going through shopping, and then we didn't realize we just like, hey, I want to buy this, and just skip all over all that. But no, we had to make something out of it, apparently. We were just so tired of dealing with sand in dungeons, we just wanted to BS everywhere.
BS all over the place.
Yeah. But Reiko and Haru, they got some special gear, magical weapons. Kaede gets crafting materials and gems, and she got her own special weapon, I believe. Flickra, I don't think I've mentioned it before, but she has a familiar that's an ion word. And she acquired some more stones to add to her familiar. And because Kaede decided she wanted a holy enchantment for her crossbow, we had to wait a week. And we met with Roshi in this time, and he essentially told us, he's like, I could take you guys in, but Reiko talked to him, was like, hey, give us a month, and we'll be ready to fight Ranjo, which is their father. And they have, they have a really deep, heart-to-heart, and we, have a little story time where Reiko explains what his father did to him as a child, and...
Trauma!
So much trauma. He trained him ruthlessly, super severe ways, by having him, walk across sharp objects, and punishing him, training him to be what they call the cleaners, which is their family's assassins, essentially. His sister is the one who is in charge of the cleaners. His father is also the one that gave Reiko his gravelly voice by slitting it, and the wound never healed. So he permanently sounds like Batman. He also explains, Reiko is not doing this out of revenge, because he's like, I'm not trying to get anything for myself, I'm trying to stop the generational trend of ruling by fear. And then, after a little bit, Roshi also reports that Haru's family was killed, unfortunately.
Uh-huh.
He's not happy about that. All except his baby sister, super young baby sister, but that baby sister has been given to Reiko's sister. Again, the leader of the cleaners, who essentially brainwashes people and trains them to be killers.
She's gonna die.
Yeah, it's not gonna be nice.
Revenge.
And then, also during this week, Kaede, who's a doof and decided to chew on an undead rat, started showing symptoms of her disease, because she's silly like that. And she just passes it around multiple times. She touches me and I get it, and I touch Reiko, he gets it. I try to heal Kaede, and I think she gets it again. And then I tried to heal Reiko, and I said, don't touch us. Do not touch me again. So then I heal Kaede again, and then I heal myself. And we're like, okay, we're done with this. Done. And that's it. And then we go through the rest of our week. Reiko likes to read books. Flicker has more herb-induced meditation and joins her familiars all into one gem that she now wears in a necklace, and rather than on her quarterstaff, because that can be obnoxious to carry around sometimes. Haru just rested because he said he was on vacation.
Hey, I almost died multiple times.
Get good. And then Kaede made Haru a little necklace and secretly left it for him on his pillow. And by secretly, I mean only Haru didn't notice because Reiko and Flicker definitely noticed. She's not sneaky. Haru's just oblivious. So we go down to the Pirate Bay, as I mentioned.
Yahar.
Yahar. And then Reiko hires a dwarf ship for an absurd amount of money.
Yeah.
Stupid amounts of money. They were just going to be like 200 gold. And he was like 20,000. And they're like, no questions asked. Let's go.
You're twisting my arm here.
You sure are twisting my arm for that 20,000 gold. But we are given a map, compass. Think of, Captain Jack Sparrow and his compass. I think we've mentioned this before. But it turns into a compass again. And it shows us that we have to go through, the map instructs us that we have to go through certain islands first before we can reach this island that we've been instructed to go to. So the first one is like a black obsidian type island, and it has the gem that we need floating in the middle. And there's like rivulets like running up to the center. And we all get over there after some shenanigans and falling on top of each other in the boat. And we get up on the island, we grab it, and as soon as we grab it, we start getting surrounded by these slugs. I don't know how they move fast because they're slugs, but...
Hey, that's snails, never mind.
I was like, turbo! That's a snail. So we get up on, and we're like, well, shoot. We're like, Paljor! I forgot to mention, Paljor's with us. He found us in the tavern while we were, like, waiting with Reiko's brother, I believe.
I believe so,
we were playing, like, a game, and he showed up. Apparently we learned that his name is cursed. So anytime you hear me chant, like, Paljor, 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 there's a chance for him to actually appear because his name is cursed. But we learned that while shopping, because Haru said he's going to go after him.
I said we would find him.
Yes, but you said you would go after him. And so when he appeared, Haru's like, had like this super bubbly feeling that he had to like kill him right then and there. Like, I need to get him right now. And Paljor was like, you said you were going to do something to me, didn't you? He's like, maybe. And he's like, my name's cursed. And he releases the curse off of Haru. But Haru still doesn't trust him. I'm kind of like, I'm a little bit on the edge right now because I'm like, oh no, I don't know how I feel about him. We'll see. But Paljor teleports us off the island to safety. And we get to the next island, which was just a nightmare. We were stuck on it for days. I'm not even kidding. There was a maze that we go into.
It was amazing.
Ugh, not that again. But we get into this maze and we're like tempted to go in different directions, and we end up doing that. And we wander around all day long. And eventually at night we get kicked out. We walk out the front door. And we're like, what the heck? And we did that multiple times. Because we're dumb and we don't learn. So, on the last day, I finally decided, I was like, there's got to be something to this place, because it's not that big. It's like a little castle on a hill. It's just like a grassy type island. It looks pretty normal. Has a castle on the one side. And so I go up to it and I cast a spell to remove like illusion effects. And it shows a hallway that goes straight on towards the center. And there's the gem floating in the middle. We can see it. So, I cast it for a second, cheetah sprint myself to the center, grab the gem, and a displacer beast comes after us. We're like, ah! So I say Paljor's name again, and he appears next to us, and he's like, I'm here, let's go. Teleports us out, except for Haru and Reiko, because they weren't with us. So they end up fighting this displacer beast.
I wrecked that thing.
Eventually, yeah.
It took me forever to hit it.
Yeah, I know. That's kind of the idea. Anyway.
I should have crit so many times in that fight.
You really should have. Anyway, we get off. And we go on to the next island. And this island is made out of sand. And we're like, no, not any more sand. And we threw something onto the island to see what would happen if we stepped on it, and this thing just sinks in, and we're like, oh crap. So Flicker uses the fly spell, goes to the center, grabs the gem, comes back, and yeah, that was it. And there was nothing wrong. You're like, okay, that seemed really easy. And then after we grabbed the gem, the island that we were trying to find is directly behind us. On the other side of the ship. We're like, wow, that's cool. That's really easy. That's okay. So we go up to the dock, we go through customs, and these people know who we are, like everything about us, know our names. They even know about Pal Jor, which was a little weird, but I guess since he was honest with this trip, it's not terrible. He obviously knew what he was doing. Don't get all happy yet. But we learned we were on Time Island, whose the ownership kind of goes between the different time gods. And then, so currently it's under the control of Present, and which is cool. My lady, she's the best. So we split up because we're curious about different buildings. Flicker goes and visits the temple and is able to meet with Present, give her thanks and whatnot. And Present informs her that each one of us is going to have our individual quests. And hers is to find a person who's been able to slip by onto the island unnoticed and bypass all of the time gods, all of them. Because this island exists outside of normal world. It kind of exists in every timeline, essentially. And this guy bypassed all of those gods. And you're like, what? You want me to find who again? I'm gonna die.
Yeah.
Oh. And in that time, Haru and Reiko are trying to climb up a tower and they fail. And then they's like, well, let's go back down and go to the temple or something. And they meet with Present.
I sacrificed one of the weapons I got in the dungeon.
That's true. He's like, what can you offer me? And he gives up. There's a sword he had gotten.
That hurts lawful creatures.
And he sacrificed it to Present. And she's like, I like this. I forgive you for not coming to see me first. And then Kaede visits a tavern and goes a little bit of shopping, and she sees a fight ring that for some reason she's interested in. So I don't even know. Then our last session. Oh my gosh, I'm gonna cry. So Haru and Reiko, they go to this tower again after they meet with Present, and they're able to make it to the top finally. There were some weird barriers that were preventing them, but after they accepted the quest, they were able to make it. They go into the room at the top, and they're instructed they must talk to the Grand Mage, and he pulls out these papers for them that magically show them where they're supposed to go and what their quest is. So Haru, he has to go to this crater. It's got rainbow water essentially going into the middle of it, and there's a well in the middle.
Source of magic.
I'm getting there. I'm telling the story.
You're telling the story?
Yes. But he's supposed to go there and dip himself in the well and at the center of it, and it's called the Source of Magic.
He's gonna trip.
So his is not a battle of strength, but a battle of wills.
Well, at best at, of course.
Yeah, or whatever. And for Reiko, he's shown that he has to fight the beast that's protecting the well, and it's shown to be a manticore. Doesn't say what type of manticore, but it's a manticore. Otherwise, none shall pass. Kaede finally meets up with Flickra, They go to the temple together, and Kaede gets her quest. There is a beast that is protecting the man that Flicker has to find. But just like the man, the beast is really, really hard to track. They have to find them together, essentially, and she has to defeat the beast while Flicker gets the man, essentially. Kind of like Haru and Reiko's quest a little bit. They go into the vision in the temple. They go into like this little room and have like a little like session, and the vision appears before them in some smoke. And in there, they see this archway, and this archway has some like engravings in it. And like as you're looking at it, so Flicker can, because of one of her stones that she got, she can understand all languages. And there's like, she can read like all languages at once in these engravings, and there's some that even she doesn't recognize, which is a little strange. So switching back to the boys, before they leave the tower, Haru retrieves a map, and their location for their crater is shown in the far northwest corner of the island, like very top of the map. And they meet up with the girls again, and Flicker sees on the map a landmark that resembles the archway they saw in their vision in the center of the island. So they're like, okay, well, we just travel together until we have to split up. And that's what they do. So on their yellow brick road of an adventure to these places, there's a bunch of noises coming from the forest around them. Bears and tigers. Oh my. And Kaede gets spooked and runs off, forcing the rest of the party to follow her. Ugh, she's such a scaredy cat. After fighting a bear that they come across, because they find her, she's like curled up in a ball, like shivering, like, ah. And there's a bear there, and they fight this bear, and they're looking around like, oh, where do we go? They feel, a little disoriented. I cast a spell to see where north was, and it's like north was that way, and then it was that way, and then it was that way. Like, it was spinning in a circle. It was almost like we were in the center of a compass. It was weird. So Kaede, he was told that Ermav, her god, would help them. She performs a god call, and Ermav starts dropping snow on them. It's like snowfall, really, really heavy snowfall. But the snowfall reveals the correct path, like footprints through the pathway back to where we were. And so they're able to make it back to the road, and it's still snowing this whole time. They stop for the night, and Flicker starts to hear the voice of a stranger in her head, and like telling her that time is against her, and to not do what she's being told to do. And she learns it's the man she's tracking, and he said it was good to see you, like he saw them in passing, because the party was dumb and forgot to take watch that night. So she decides to do another session to have a vision to see if it was true, if he did move. And she finds him in a different location that is also shown on the map. It's kind of like a observatory in a barren city type area, kind of ruins. So that's in a different direction, so they have to split up right there in that morning. And then Reiko and Haru go their direction, and they're traveling for a little bit. And Reiko, poor guy. It's still snowing, by the way. And Reiko does not do snow well.
He's having a rough time.
And he passes out. He's too cold. And Haru's kind of desperate. He's like, okay, Digas, I need some help. Digas appears, and he's like, well, yeah, I'm gonna heal this guy. Boop, he's healed. Reiko's healed. Yay! Oh, and also, teleport. Haha, good luck. And where he teleported them was to the crater. He also teleported Flicker and Kaede to the crater. That's not helpful. Freaking Digas.
You're welcome.
Hate you. But in the center of the crater, we see the one and only Paljor. Next to him, a dead manticore. And he tells Reiko that he has worked with his father and that the bounty for all of us is up in the millions now. Like, an obscene amount of money.
Millions and millions of gold.
And he's decided that Manticore was not a hard enough challenge for him, not a hard enough quest for his personal growth. And so that's why he killed the Manticore. He also said that Roshi, his older brother, had been found out for letting them go. So, in that moment, Paljor tells Reiko that he says, "You're going to fight me instead. I am going to be your challenge." And that is where we leave off. You must follow us to find out what happens next. Muahahaha. We'll see you next time.